with everyone out there listening. We got part two of the last segment that went on the event where we're having churches come together in unity on September the 6th, where we're going to go live and have every denomination, every church that wants to participate actually have their service outside, so we can worship and send a message that you're not taking our religious freedoms away. And that will be on September 5th. I welcome anyone and everyone that wants to participate, whether you're with a church group, whether you want to come out to the event itself. And we're going to be talking to our guest here, which is following up on things, which is Pastor Phil, and have him introduce his church, his organization, and he's spearheading this event. So welcome, Pastor.
Thank you. And September 6th.
6th.
Not 5th. You know, I know you had a senior moment. It's okay. It's okay. We forgive you. Wow, I catch you in a lot of senior moments lately. September 6th will be the spearheaded, not the only one. We're having churches and we're putting out the call nationwide for all religious leaders, not just Christian denominations, but all leaders nationwide to unify together to have a service outdoors, opening up their doors, and really worship God, fellowship together, and not be in fear of what the governor has been pushing here.
Oh, that's great. And I know that we have participation across the country, and we are going to have that day also. There's a special guest coming in from the conservative show. Do you know?
So we have guest speaker Ken McClinton, the chairman. Yeah, I got to write this time, Mr. Ken. I wrote it down, so.
he gets stuck on Miss McClinton.
You almost had it wrong there. Ken McClinton, he's the president and host of the Exceptional Conservative Network. He'll be one of our guest featured speakers. We have others who are going to be coming in to speak as well. Mr. Torres here is also going to be speaking, and we're going to broadcast it live on the Center of Universal Divinity's website and Facebook page. So Facebook Live will also be broadcasting it over the Facebook page. We're going to have it on our website, and we're going to syndicate this as big as possible. We're going to try to tie into other live services of other churches, synagogues, and mosques in the area. And we're going to try to have everything streaming at one time. So no matter which way you're going to go, you're going to get a different flavor of Christ.
It's great. It's great. And the reason why this event came to become spearheaded was because of the actions that we're going through within the government right now.
Yes.
And I just want to bring to the attention why this event went on. And my personal perspective is, think about this, everyone. They're telling you that they're limiting your worship, or they're telling you that you can't worship and your churches are closed down. But are you paying attention? Because do you go to Walmart? Do you go to a Rite Aid, to your pharmacy? Do you go to your supermarkets? Do you go to your doctors? Well, doctors are mostly on video now, right?
Yeah, the teledoc.
Yeah, the teledoc. But you go shopping, you go to the gas station, you go to Wawa, etc. And all of these places are telling you that you can go in them and you're wearing a mask and you're trying to keep social distance.
Well, you know,
then they're telling us we can't go to church.
Wait, no. You skipped something. Yes, doctors are teledocs, but you can go to an abortion clinic physically, and get an abortion done. You can go to a bar and get drunk.
You can go to a liquor store and buy liquor.
Right. Everybody's open.
The pandemic doesn't seem to be bothering any of these events.
Well, look, the house of God is closed apparently when it comes to an international crisis. You can't go into a house of fellowship. I'm still trying to rationalize that, but
I think that's a political move, to be honest with you, because if you look at it, where do the polling places come in at? They come into churches and they come out of schools. Well, your schools are also being closed down. You know, it ain't gonna reduce your taxes that you're paying, but they're giving your kid a laptop. So if you got 3 kids at home and you're a single parent, guess what? You just became a part-time teacher too. Because and remember, I don't know if I could do some of the stuff the kids in 8th grade are doing right now. Never mind what my booth is doing behind the scenes here with that technology, because I know I'd be lost over there. Them guys are like super brains. You know, I know I'm not gonna be able to do what they do. You know, I mean, they got me beat 100%. If you got a picture, and maybe on the next time I'll get them to say hi and wave, because you got to picture these. These are young individuals in these booths who have mastered what they have to do. Mm-hmm. They're the best of what they do, and I'm gonna tell you that I couldn't even find the power button on the controls that they have. But
that is true.
They're controlling us.
No, yeah, definitely. And I can attest to this. I thank God for you guys over there behind the booth, because I've dealt with David here on even trying to send a text message. So more power to you for dealing with this weekly.
Those guys are amazing. These guys, I'm telling you, they're great. They're great. They're in here, and I come in and I smile and I say hi, then I sit in this seat, and somehow everything lights up.
Well, that shows you where we're at in the paradigm shift in this country and in history. And we are coming to a point of disillusion of reality. People are forced to take stock and take hold of where we're really at. Right now, the biasness and the racism in this country, you can't ignore it anymore. You can't sweep it under this rug. But people are still doing it. This time it's a little different, though. Because of the rioting and stuff, people are being more intellectually racist. People are being more institutional racism. And I will push this also part of the agenda, what's happening with the closing of the polls, telling everybody to mail in the ballots.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, I'm a ward leader. Obviously, everybody knows I'm running for Congress. But I'm going to tell you something. I got so many people coming to my office and confused because they're telling them the polls are going to be closed. They're telling them the schools are closed. They're telling them the churches can't be open. These people are bringing me these papers that are just the form for them to sign up, send in, for them to get the absentee ballot. The problem is that a lot of the seniors don't understand what's going on, and the younger generation doesn't care at a certain point what's going on in the inner cities. And I'm keeping my guys in the booth out of that picture because you got to see them. But you're looking at the younger generations out there in the streets that are confused. Mothers are coming to me saying, "What am I doing? You know, I give you this paper." I said, "No, you got to mail it in. You don't give it to me. That's if you don't want to go to the polls." They said, "Well, I thought that filling out this form, I voted."
And that's because the way it's presented.
Massive confusion.
But that's because of the way it's presented. People are told, this is your voting paperwork. And they fill it out. And they think this is their ballot. And they are completely, massively uneducated and confused about everything that's going on with the voting process. And it's not because they're not smart individuals or anything like that. No. It's because the jerry-rigging process of how they've been doing the voting in the inner cities is really should be a sin.
Well, not only just it should be a sin, but you know, people that have come to me, and I don't care what party you're with. If you come to me and you need help filling out a form, it doesn't matter to me, because I think everybody's voice should be heard and everybody's vote should count, irregardless of which way you're going. I never ask anybody in my office, and you've been there, okay? I never, ever, anybody that comes to my office, I never, and my staff is not allowed to ask, what party are you with? We only ask, how can we help you? Well, it doesn't matter.
That's what you're supposed to do, especially a man in your position who's not only running for office but also as a ward leader. You're not really supposed to care whatever background an individual has or dealing with. It's who and what they are as a human being, as a child of God. Is when they walk into that door, you don't care. You want to help them out. That is what you're supposed to do, regardless.
Well, you're supposed to, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's scary. This election is scary. We have a lot of influences outside. I think that the younger generation is a very smart generation. Is beyond what my era is, way beyond.
Well,
But I think
I
that
mean, you were chiseling at rocks to write your school paper. So clay tablets and everything. So I mean, you had clay tablets. We have actual digital tablets and smartphones.
well, you have smartphones and digital phones. I tell you, I think my smartphone is actually smarter than me. But but you know, the younger generation, I'm concerned with because technology is there, but not and most of them can grasp it because I tell you, my goddaughter can get on the phone and one of my goddaughters is only like 4 or 5 years old, and she even calls me up and says, Godfather, hit the button for you where the camera's at so you can talk to me face to face. I mean, it's there. They're smart. They know what's happening, but at the same time, it's almost like they're not completely informed of what's going on, you know. And it's scary because I think that if we continue on that path, and we're going to get into in the next segment into the looting and the rioting and what's going on because that's an important piece of what we need to do. But if we look at history, how they try to suppress votes, how they kept people from voting, and I don't want to get into color or race or anything, but we've had it in this country. We had where people's votes were suppressed. Women, it's been 100 years
Yeah.
since women have gotten the right to vote. African Americans, what happened to them? The Irish, you know,
Asian
a lot of
Americans.
groups.
It would see. I know you don't want to touch on the question of racism, the question of people's sex and so forth, and different demographics. But the reality is that the minority aspect, and then when I say minority, I'm not talking about a particular color or scheme or like the BLM or nothing like that. But it's really the demographic of the smaller portion of the population, which is actually the 80 percentile brackets of this country, which is really funny. When you say the minority, you're actually saying this is the 80% of the population of America who is the ones who are actually disenfranchised in the terms of voting and having their voting blocks and being counted where their beliefs, their ideals actually matter.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
It's scary. It's scary because and that's one of the things that, you know, I believe that we're glutton to repeat history if we continue to allow what's happening out here now. Closing the voting places is taking away your right to vote.
Well, they basically
Forget the color of your skin. It's happened here in this country before. They suppress people's votes. They did it with the women. They did it with the particular color that a person is, and they're going to do it again. It's happening. They're taking your churches away. Remember, there were people out here in this world like Adolf Hitler who at one point promised everybody all kinds of things, and at the end, if you weren't blonde and blue-eyed, you were in trouble. And even Jewish people were in trouble. And there's people around this world today being persecuted because of the color of their skin and their race. And it's happening all over the place. I mean, but we've had some strives, and we can't allow the strives of Martin Luther King and all the people who fought to get forward to go back.
Right, but right now,
because of pure ignorance. We can't allow it.
Right now, it's not just a question of it's no longer an issue on racism. And that's one of the problems I have with the BLM. Black Lives Matter has it all wrong right now. It's not brown-skinned people who are disenfranchised. It's the lower 80 percentile brackets of the economy that's disenfranchised, which has a large bulk of those who are African-American, Latino, and so forth. But it's really those who are in the inner cities. Not all of them are all dark skinned people. On my mom's block, you have people who are Caucasian, people who are Arabic, people who are Asian, people who are African American descent. There's a mixture of them, but they're all lower 80 percentile brackets. These people have a $20,000 to $10,000 yearly income.
Oh yeah, but we need to. Voting is the most important thing. If they can suppress the public's vote,
But that's why it's key what I'm saying. They're targeting individuals who do not have the economic means to fight against.
this
They
is
don't have
not
the-
economic means.
What-
It's standing up and not allowing political people,
it is
block
economic.
captains, ward leaders, city council, state reps, governors, mayors, not allowing them to tell you that you're not
But it
going to
is-
worship and you're
it is a
not
question
going
of-
to vote.
It is a question of economics and it's a question of education. When you have an underfunded community, an underfunded school system, and you have people, which is the largest bulk of your country, who is not getting adequate education, adequate health care, adequate housing programs, drug treatment programs. What they're doing in these same communities is telling people, here, go to this place, lay down, relax, we'll get you health care, housing, and guess what? Right next door, you can buy your dope, shoot it up, and everything will be okay.
We're going to get ready to go on our first break. But when we come back, we're going to get into the protest and touching on the schools a little more, because I have a very important piece to bring to everybody's attention when it comes to the school system, to show you how they're using our kids and manipulating our kids and our teenagers in the system now, and how they're handpicking what they want to do. So when we get back, we're going to start talking a little bit about the school. Then we're going to get into the rioting and so forth. But hang in there, everybody. Go get yourself something to drink. Come back real quick, and we'll be right back with you.
I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. And even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. I have a mentor, Maria, and she convinced me to continue my education. Just never judges. She's a true role model. From the depths of my heart, I thank you, Maria, for being a friend and a beautiful person. No one receives a diploma alone. And I'm honored to share this moment with you. Thank you. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back again. We're here with Pastor Phil. And I'm not going to say the name of his church, because every time I say it, he thinks I'm picking on him.
Well, try to say it.
You couldn't say it yourself.
No, I
Go ahead.
can say it. I just would like to know. Can you tell your viewers the name of my church?
Universal.
No, stop. Just stop. Just stop. Just stop.
Go ahead. Tell them your name of your church.
How long have we known each other?
Oh, God, it's been a long time.
Is life like...
I never get it right.
I seen the commercial with the old people, and the lady gets mad at somebody, and she says, I unfriend you. I want life to be like that with Facebook, where I can unfriend you. Can we just do that? It's the center of universal divinity.
There you go. I believe you if you say that. Anyway, let's get back to our topic here. And we were hitting on the schools. if you're in high school and you're coming of age, 18, and you're finishing high school and you're planning on going to college or not, start a business, whichever way you want to, you're going your route, I ask God to bless you. But I want you to think about this. In the late 50s, 60s, and the beginning of the 60s, mothers were actually told, if you do not have your husband or the daddy of your kids home, you're going to get more for welfare. Now, if you take, and you are as smart as you are, and I know that this generation is fantastic. If you research and you put on the scale where welfare started breaking down the nuclear family and then put down education next to it, you'll see a decline in the education of a child home without the two-parent household. You'll see a decline in the children's education, a decline in the children's just cultural knowledge, knowing that they have a mother and a father at home, knowing that they have to respect their elders. You could literally see the decline of how the government has taken the welfare and the nuclear family and has broken it down, and you'll see, as you see the family household break down, the nuclear family, you're going to see as much as it drops, that's where the educational drops, because we spend a lot of money on education, and we ain't getting our money's worth.
Wait,
to be honest with you,
are we actually spending the money on education?
We're spending a lot of money.
Are
We're
we
spending more money than what we're getting. What we're spending now, we ain't getting back.
No. I would love to, especially in the city of Philadelphia, I would love to actually see the books and show me.
Good luck on that.
No. Wait. You brought up the subject. We're spending the money on education.
We are.
I love to. I got kids in my neighborhood, 19 years old, graduated from high school. They cannot write in calligraphy. They cannot do basic arithmetic.
But that's my point.
They have a high school diploma, and they have a 3rd to 5th grade reading level.
But that's my point. You just made my point.
But
we spending money and are getting nothing in
you're
return.
spending money on education. I want to see what.
I don't care if we're
spending
spending $1,000 a month, or we're spending $10,000 per kid.
But
in the classroom.
But see, it's also disenfranchised, because what you're saying, I would agree. There's money being given to the schools in large amounts. I mean, look at the cigarette tax and for education, soda tax, and all this stuff. I don't know, whatever else tax they're trying to say that goes towards education. The argument I want to raise is it's disproportionate to the funding that goes to the schools. Many of these schools that should be funded are underfunded.
How?
They don't have adequate.
How? They don't pay for uniforms. They don't pay for books. They don't pay for nothing. They pay their teachers and the buildings if they have to pay rent.
But that's my. But no. That's from my point is.
Where's the money going? They get paid per child.
No. The schools do not reflect what's allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly because I have never seen it. They have allegedly saying that the schools receive this money. But when you look at what the school does, with what they're saying they get funded, teachers don't reflect that in their pay. The educational system in the inner city schools do not reflect that. First of all, I feel as though, as a godfather, I do way too much helping to pay in to the school supplies, because we have to go to Costco and buy bulk of toilet tissue, paper towel, napkins, hand sanitizers just for them to have for the school. Every last one of these kids that goes into the school, they all have to have basically the entirety of a classroom.
But that's my point. If we are paying, taxpayers are paying schools to this money, to the school
district, the money goes to the school district. Yeah. I'm not saying the school district is underfunded. I'm saying I don't see anything going down to the inner city schools, the schools that actually have the most
Well,
kids.
then I think we should have some congressman somewhere along the line. I guarantee you that if I'm there, the first thing I'll do is ask to see an audit
Yeah,
of where the money is at.
it has to be audited because I don't.
It hasn't never been. I don't remember. I'm a little older than you, just slightly.
just slightly.
Just slightly.
Okay.
But
I think you
can
were
tell
born
you
during the
that
time of
I've
dinosaurs,
never
but okay.
seen an actual audit of the school system money.
The thing is that people complain saying schools have too much money. They getting all this funding. We buy all the school supplies. We do this. We do that. Okay, grant you, we do all this stuff. I know even with my niece and nephew, one time we drove around to like 5 different stores buying boxes of stuff for everybody to have something to take to school, and then they lock it in the cabinet, and when they come home saying the teacher kept it there. I'm like, well, I just bought a whole, I just spent almost $2,000 here, and you're telling me the teacher did what? But it's like, it's the insanity is that I look at this and I say, okay, this money went here to the school district, but the schools themselves are underfunded, not the school district. So the question is, where did all of this money, because
Go?
it doesn't reflect in the schools, the inner city schools, the school down the street from you and your neighborhood, it does not reflect there. Now,
Where is it?
I have Allegheny High School, which at this point I'm not sure if it's still a Spira or whatever, charter, public, or it's been both over the last, alternating between it over the years. It does not reflect what's going on in that school. I have Marston Elementary right down the street from me, and Allegheny Elementary up the street. I'm in between these 3 schools, and I see law enforcement as the security for the school. So
Right.
we have to have cops there as the actual security because there's no one they can't actually afford security there.
Right.
And then there is a situation where the students come out, but there's no after-school programs. There's no tutoring.
Okay, but we're back to the same question here. Somebody needs to ask the school district, what are you doing with the money that you're collecting? You collected a sugar tax. You got cigarette tax. You got money coming into the state. Where is this money going? Because I'm going to tell you, even if we're giving, and I'm going to set an example, of $7,000 a year per child, and you got 28 to 30 kids in a classroom, and you figure that each teacher teaches that class 5 times in a day, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and we're getting, I can't use my choice words, but we're not getting our bang for our buck, okay? Because if it's not going to the schools itself, then we still need, as taxpayers, to ask the school district, what are you doing with the money? Where's it at? Because the kids are not reflecting it. They're graduating lower. Why are we in America the best and the powerfulest country? And I love America. I love being an American citizen. Why are we so far behind on the chart when it comes to education and the rest of the world? It doesn't make sense. And every year that they can keep pushing us back in the inner cities, every time they can hold us back another generation with their nonsense and making us dependent on the government, they're controlling us. And instead of moving forward, we're moving backwards.
Well, I'm glad but see, this is also hit at the point. The attack on education also prevents you to understand the idea of a nation state, the idea of national sovereignty, and what it means to be an American citizen, which is very unique to everywhere else in the world. Not most places around the world, you're not a citizen. They use that term in the media describing people in other countries. But if you look at the charter, you look at their documentation, their constitutions they have there, and so forth, they're not listed as citizens. In the UK, you're not a citizen. You're still a peasant on the books. You're still a subject. Australia and other places, you're a subject. You're a peasant. You're not a citizen. We use this description to describe China and other places, but you're not a citizen. Most parts of the world, historically, and due to the definition of what that is, we are a democratic republic. We're in the ideas of Plato, the books of the republic. The idea
Right.
of the credo documents were played on Socrates of what a citizen is, the definition of a citizen and what it embodies in this country, and it's unique. If you don't understand that, and you don't truly take heart to that, and you attack that on the institutional level of education, you destroy the ability for people to understand and recognize what their value are, as well as the value of a human being, which attacks the institution of a church as well.
Yeah, well, and that's the point of our topic when it started. If they control where you're going to vote, where your education at, and how you're going to worship, they got you.
Yeah.
They got you, and it's returned another window of view on it, but it's back to suppressing people, suppressing people's vote, and suppressing cultures. And when I say culture at this time, I'm not talking about black, white, Hispanic. I'm talking about a generational culture. Every time we can get into another generation that they hold back and let one or two peak up to the top,
And you know,
they control us.
And to also point out is exponentially it's an increase on a hyperbolic level, of radical increasement on institutional killings, mass institutional killings, and suicide.
Oh,
On a
yeah.
generational level, there is more of this than your generation has ever seen.
Yeah, and you're going to see
And-
more of it if they continue to be allowed
But this is also
the government to. But that's the point.
Yeah.
The point is we're out here and we're telling the public, get your act together. Listen to what you're doing. Forget your voting Democrat or Republican or Independent. You need to start looking at what exactly are every individual standing for.
Mhm.
And then you need to vote which one of them people are actually giving you what your value is. What somebody who's respecting the nucleus of the family. Are they respecting what our freedoms are? You know, this country is in a turmoil right now, I say. But we're going to get into that in the last segment now. But this country is having problems. This country's having serious problems. But it's because we, the people, all of us, are responsible for letting them super clowns in City Hall and the super clowns in Washington dictate to us, irregardless. Because you know what? They say racism. I'm going to give you a perfect example. They tell you that immigration's an issue. How many Republicans and Democratic presidents can you go back that has not had this on their plate? And how many Democrat and Republican congresspeople have not had immigration on their plate going back? But you keep voting these clowns in. You keep voting them. They're 40 years, they're 30 years, they're 20 years, and every year they tell you Social Security is a problem. Well, you know what? If them kids in that booth right now could not turn that system on, they wouldn't have their job next week, right? But we allow them politicians on both sides of parties to tell us that these are problems. Well, what the hell have you been doing there for the last 10, 15 years?
60 years, 40 years.
Come on.
No. Reality is that you have individuals who sat in the office for how long? 40, 50 years, haven't done any change, haven't made any radical moves in policies.
Go ahead.
This is really ridiculous where we're at. It's undercutting the sovereignty and the buildup of the nation state as well as the communities.
Sure.
When you have a politician who sat in office and is 4 terms later and you still have the same trash in the neighborhoods, same dump sites, you got the same crack house that's been operation that's almost institutionalized in the community. In my neighborhoods, there's still human trafficking going on. You have all of this happening, and you still have the same.
I'm
congressman.
laughing, but it's not. I'm laughing at the fact that you're seeing this, and people continue to vote people in. Remember, they're supposed to be going to serve you, to benefit you, to fight for
Well,
you.
here's a good question. Brandon Boyle, when was the last time you took a walk through the neighborhoods in my area and actually said, hey, these crack houses are going to be shut down? Jason Dawkins, representative. When have you walked through the neighborhoods in my area and say these crack houses are going to be shut down?
I don't know.
But
how many times have they voted these people in?
Well, yeah. Well, look at Senator Street. He takes over for Shirley Kitchen. Everyone loves Shirley Kitchen because she was there. Every area, doesn't matter, Republican or Democrat, she's there. She was iconic in the city of Philadelphia. She leaves office. You have Sharice Streets who takes over. Where are you? You guys have become institutionalized and ingrained in your seats instead of getting up and walking the streets.
We're going to get ready to take another break and get ready for our last segment, and we're going to talk about the rioting and the destruction that's happening in the inner cities and how it's affecting everything that's going on, and how we need to take responsibility for what's going on and stopping it. So see you back in another minute, 2 minutes.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
All right, everyone. It's been a pretty mind blowing day with Pastor Phil here, and we're bringing up some topics that kind of might make a few people uncomfortable, but it's okay because we need to make them uncomfortable. We need to start shaking the tree, Pastor.
You're
Really
apologizing for making people uncomfortable. I think it's good for people to be uncomfortable.
well.
When people get relaxed and that means they're set.
Well, they're used to relaxing and setting. That's why we're in the situation we're in now. But I want to talk to you about all that's going on in the inner cities, all the lives that we're losing, what's happening. Let's take my area, for example, the 19th Ward. Just surrounding the 19th Ward, I've had shootings almost every other day. Okay, I had people get shot. We look at what's happening in other areas of South Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, and it's getting almost to be common. You're seeing the drug dealers, and I tell you, I think they're the businesses that are expanding. To be honest with you, but that's for another day. The drug dealers are expanding, and that seems to be the next wave of new businesses. It won't be the little barbershops and the mom and pop stores. It's going to be the drug dealers on the corner. If we just, and I wouldn't put it past certain government to try to get them to pay taxes. Who knows? They'll tell them it's for schools.
We're on the verge of that already with some of the things that's been happening with certain regulations. I feel like this is a brave new world with Aldous Huxley, Doors of Perception, Bertrand Russell on the idea of Dirty Birdie's idea on how do you teach a child that snow is black.
Yeah.
And then he says, Bertrand Russell says, how you should look into how much it costs to teach a child that snow is black. And then if that's too expensive, let's just see how much we have to spend to teach a child that snow is just dark gray. Aldous Huxley with Doors of Perception and Brave New World, you have Doors of Perception is talking about how do you get people complacent to accept recreational drugs as a pastime thing that's just like having a beer.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of LSD, a little bit of weed. Hey, it's just something to help you relax. Don't worry about it. But at the end of the day, you had that same idea nearly destroyed China and Japan.
It did, but now if we're looking at how we take a step away from the drugs a little bit and look at some of the inner cities, look at the crime wave in New York. Look what's happening here in Philadelphia. Look what's happening in Chicago. You know, and I'm gonna say something. One life lost to violence is one too many. At the hands of anybody, whether you're police, whether you're a gang, whether you're, you know, whatever, you know, one life lost to violence is too much. But we're having, now it's getting to the point where in the rioting and the looting that's going on, now it's getting more, we're going to get into a point where it passed normal rioting because people are dying at these riots.
But unfortunately, and this goes back to the last segment of discussion on the sanctity of life and what that means in this country, and with people being taught in schools and the attack on churches, you don't value life. You don't see it as something that's sacred, no matter whether you're a Buddhist or Christian or a Muslim or someone who followed under the Islamic faith or someone who's a Jewish person on Judaism. You don't when you attack a child's mind on understanding the sanctity of life, you have what you have going on between the people who are rioting in these cities. The response of cops, which happened recently with a young man shot in the back and now is paralyzed and fighting for his life. You have people who do not truly understand and grasp the concept of the value of human life.
Yeah.
And also what I was saying earlier, when you supply and make it easier for people to become docile and drugged up, they're not truly understanding not only their actions but the ramifications of their actions.
Well, and it's gone beyond that. Beyond the people in the streets getting high. It's gotten to the point that now we're seeing every day, because of our ability to catch it on camera, we're seeing more and more of the violence that's going on. The police need to figure out a way to control or stop the violence against any particular person, regardless of the color of their skin. But at the same time, we can't ignore the violence that we're doing to ourselves in the inner city.
Yes.
Because that's a larger number than what's happening in the hands of police officers.
I need to touch on one thing that you just said. One thing. As an individual of ethnicity, also a ordained minister, international activist. I have over 10 years of activist work on the streets. I have to say this. I am not for defunding the police. Mm-hmm. I am for reorganizing the police.
That's correct.
Reorganization and defunding are two separate things.
Right.
You are going to put in jeopardy not only the communities, but those who are in place as law enforcement agents to make securities for those people in the communities from these people who are drug lords and so forth, who are actually the ones destroying our community. We do need new training, reorganization in the law enforcement. I'm not going to dispute that.
But not defund them.
No.
No.
I've been profiled. I've been, even knowing that I'm a community advocate, I've had cops rough me up and walking out of my door just because they didn't see my face but seen the color of my skin. Yes, I get profiled all the time. However, that does not mean I'm going to attack the police. I'm calling for defunding the police. No, I am calling for reorganization of the police force. Law enforcement agencies as a whole need to be reorganized and retrained.
Yeah,
now
that's one issue.
That's one issue that goes together with the fact that if you go to Kensington and Allegheny, you go to 5th and Rescomb or Wyoming Avenue, and you see the boys over there dealing from the parks and stuff. You have a systemic issue and condition that is destroying this country and these inner cities.
Well, it's destroying the countries in the city, but what's happening is that the people are getting to look at it as a norm.
But that's what I'm getting at. When you destroy
it's nothing normal.
When you destroy the education, you make the police not as an agent of law enforcement, but an agent of fear-inducing agents.
Well,
When you
but
when you
but
when you,
you
when you
gotta,
create a
that
situation
the police
like that,
is one thing,
It's
but
one thing of a
the
greater whole.
violence that's happening in the inner cities every single day, the lives that are being lost, that our own people are bringing onto us, not the police shootings,
no.
because that's one
No,
thing.
what I'm saying is it's a combination of both. You have the destruction of understanding the value of human life and the attack on churches. You have the attack on cognitively and intellectually looking and evaluating what's going on in your community and with yourself from the educational systems. You have all of this playing in conjunction with the destruction of your community and defunding. So when you cannot expect a person in Kensington and Allegheny to understand really what they're doing of their own actions if they were never properly taught in a funded
But that's
school
the
system.
point. The point is that we're back. Who is responsible? We're responsible for our community. We cannot sit here and accept that our pastors are closing the church doors.
But
You
see-
can't do that.
No,
No.
see-
We got to put responsibility where responsibility lies.
No, and
Okay?
that's why
Get up and open your church doors. As far as the community, you know who's dealing drugs. You know who's shooting your kids on the streets. You know what's going on. You can't sit there and say, oh, they're shooting. We don't want it. We're going to defund cops. We don't want cops here. But as soon as somebody's shooting, the first thing you want to do is call 911. Okay? Now, the responsibility for us as a community is to say that's enough already.
All right, wait a minute. Here.
You know, come on. You had a 7-year-old kid shot, a 3-year-old kid shot, a 5-year-old kid shot. This is not the police issue. And how many crimes are happening in our community that our own community is doing against us?
No. Wait. Like you said, blame where blame is due. When you destroy these, when you're attacking these institutions and it's affecting the people in the population on how they view things, I do not fully blame the people. Yes, I blame them, but remember, what did I say I am? When we talk and I say, what am I? I am not just a person of the cloth. I'm not just a member of clergy. I am a shepherd. I guide, I lead, I support, I heal, I counsel, I defend and fight for my community. But the key thing is I lead.
But that's the whole point.
If
you lead, but the responsibility doesn't stop at the pastor.
No, it's a
When you have your kid out there at 10 o'clock at night and they're supposed to be getting ready for school, but their pants is down below their ass and they're standing on the corner smoking a blunt.
But your moral compass.
That's your responsibility.
When the moral compass
okay? It is not the responsibility of police. It's not the responsibility of pastors. It's you get up off your butt and put your foot up where he left his underwear showing on your kid so he'll go back home.
No, listen. If you destroy the institution in the household, as you brought up earlier,
they're already doing it.
Wait. And you attack and destroy the churches and the pastors who become the moral compass of the community, because we are the moral compass of the community.
You are. Because you're still doing what you have to do as a pastor.
No. Those who fail to be a moral compass of the community are still a moral compass of the community, but they're guiding them the wrong pathway. Their compass is broken. Therefore, when people look up to them and say, well, the pastor's over there having an 8-ball in the corner, maybe it's okay. Well, if I go over to this church and they say, well, we don't want to do long prayers because I need to go watch the football game, maybe it's okay. I encourage everybody to read something. It's called the Screw Tape Letters. I love it. It's from C.S. Lewis. I love this because it's really great where it talks about the idea of...
We can't get people to get the kids off the street.
No, they
you want these parents to stop so that they can read this book.
Because people...
Ask them where to go buy the book.
Oh, no. Listen. I want you to go to your library. Yes, there is something in the neighborhood called a library. I know it's a new concept for many of you. I went to the library recently, and it was like
empty.
So I know this is a new concept. There's a building called library in your community, okay? You go to the library. Check this out. It's an amazing thing. You have all these books.
It got big doors on it, right? With all these big books in it.
And guess what? You don't even feel like you're in prison. It's not like going to school where you have armed guards. Because that's what school systems are nowadays. They're prisons. They condition you for the idea of being in the prison, which not condition you to accept learning. So you go into the library, and it's a very relaxing area. You have all these books, and if they don't have a book, they have something called the interlibrary loan program, where they can take a book from another library and loan it to you, and you just return it back. And the best thing is, most of the books there for people who are not big readers, and some of you who can't read, and I understand that. And I do have a program that I work on throughout the year on helping people with reading. You can get a lot of these books on tape, whether it's from audio, video, or DVD. You can get them on tape, CD, cassette tapes, because there is some strange thing. There is people who still have cassette players. That's probably you, David. You still,
Yeah, but let me
CDs
tell you
and DVDs.
something. You're telling people about it. I wonder if we took our show live in front of a library and asked people that are walking past at random what's in that building.
Well,
They'll probably tell you the water department.
all right, guys. So David just gave a challenge to you. Okay. So everybody, there's these uber geniuses behind. There's cyber geniuses behind this over here that you can't see. David gave a challenge to you.
I'm going to tell you why I say this. And I know that some people are going to walk by and not know what that building is, even if it's got big letters on it.
All right.
They're not going to know what it is.
Give people-
Because I'm going to tell you something. You go to catch the 47 bus on 7th and Market, is it?
Mm-hmm.
That building across the street was when they wrote the first draft of the Constitution, right?
Right.
Okay? The people know the Dunkin' Donuts on 7th and Market, but they don't know that building that's there.
And you know the amazing thing is that building is not a regular library.
No. I'm saying the where the Constitution was first drafted.
There's a library over
Yeah,
there. Though.
there's a library right there.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the people, and it says here who was here, who stayed here, and what activity gave us the opportunity to sit at this damn bus stop. But they'll tell you, you tell somebody, go in front, catch the 47 where the building is, the historic building where they wrote the first draft of the Constitution. They say, huh? Now you tell them, go to 7th and Market where the Dunkin' Donuts is at. Oh, yeah, I know where that's at.
Well, that's because, like I said earlier, when you attack,
And you're sitting in the bus stop with these big letters that says what it is.
when you that goes down to what I said. When you attack the institutions of learning, you attack the churches, you attack community centers, you attack outreach groups. When all of these guys are underfunded and attacked and destroyed and torn down, you can't expect a 23-year-old who is the parent of 5 or 3 kids to know that that's a library. When, first of all, we have a big problem here where babies are having babies. Yes, you have people who are undereducated in underfunded and undervalued communities, and it becomes a generational, institutional, ingrained problem.
Well, yeah, I can agree with that. But, again, who is responsible? We are allowing this to happen to us. It's nobody's responsibility but our own damn responsibility and our own fault. We need to stand up and say, look, dude, look, girl, if you're not doing what you need to do, we're going to knock you out of the seat. And we're going to put somebody in there that's going to do something for us. And if you're standing there and you're expecting the pastor from the church who's sitting at home right now, and if he's collecting, I don't know. If he's not collecting, I don't know. If he's got food stamps, I don't know. And he's got the place closed, and he's going to come back and tell you when the government tells you that you can open up your church again. That's your fault. You got to stop blaming everybody for everything, and the voters need to get up and say that's enough and take responsibility of our community again, because that's what needs to happen in this country. This country is sat back and has allowed politicians to play games in Washington. Because let me tell you something, not one paycheck in city council and not one paycheck in Washington, not one paycheck in Harrisburg got stopped.
Yeah.
They all got paid while everybody else was sitting back trying to figure out what food line they're going on. Okay? That's our fault.
Yeah.
Now, I know this is going to be, I wish we had more time, which we don't. We're coming to the last portion of our segment. I want to thank you once again because, you know, when we hang out, we go through these heavy debates. But I want to tell you, everybody out there, think about what's happening to you. I love you guys. God bless you. I pray for my people all the time, and you're part of my prayer. So pay attention to what's happening around you. We got some serious problems. God bless you. Take care. Love you guys.